Hi, Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert. And I'm very excited. I get to do this twice in 1 week. It's my favorite time where I get to talk to a leader about their values and really dive into who they are and how they show up in the world. Today, I have Olivia Gamber. And Olivia, I'm so glad to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And so, Olivia, my first question, who are you?
It's such a loaded question, right? And, I'm a multifaceted human, so I'm going to try to keep this succinct, but I'm a mother, a leader, a visionary, a creative, a heart centered, and purpose driven entrepreneur.
That's a lot to unpack. Okay, so those are great words. Tell me how how do you show up when you wake up in the morning? Who are you?
I like to call her Liv. It's my nickname, but when I'm just really grounded, I really try to start my morning in gratitude because for me, man, it's been a journey and I know how important that mindset it starting the day in gratitude with that intention is key because if I'm not in that mental state of overflow, like I've got everything I need, I'm good, then I can't really show up in service to my family, my team, my clients. So for me, it's just grounding myself in presence and getting to that place of just appreciation and gratitude for another day so I can show up more intentionally and in service of others, which is really a huge part of my identity is really, making an impact every day with everyone I connect with.
I I love that. And I had another question, and then I'm going to drop that one and say, what is your gratitude routine? What do you do? How do you exercise on that?
So it's really the first thing I do in my I don't even need to set an alarm. I seem to naturally wake up around 4:30 or 5 a.m. and it's still dark out. No one's up in the house. I just naturally wake up at that time. And so immediately my brain's just firing on a million cylinders, all the
By the way,
things
am I
that need
supposed
to
to
be
ask when you go to bed?
done. Typically I'm in bed at like 8:30.
Okay. Oh yeah, I was thinking at
Yes.
4:30.
As
My
soon
oh
as
my.
my son's in bed, I'm in bed and he goes to bed at 8. So
Okay.
but yeah, so that practice is really meditative. It's breath work blended with gratitude, and I really focus my thoughts on basic, simple things I can appreciate, whether it's, my bed, the space, the people that I get to serve, just simple things I try to get connected to that because as a hyper high achiever, elite entrepreneur that's just trying to take over the world, right? We can always get caught up in the next climb, and that can be incredibly exhausting at times. So that's what I've really had to do to keep myself centered.
Who were you before you started doing that? How long has that practice been going? And who are you now?
So
I mean, you
yeah,
feel grounded to me at the moment, but who were you before that?
I've been this person for about 8 years because of the entrepreneurial journey, and I knew I'm a highly analytical, anxious, naturally human. And so, I go to those thoughts quicker than others of, more reactive and what needs to happen and what's going wrong and what do I got to fix, right? And so that's that chaotic brain of mine that would tend to, go to more tactical what needs to be done. And to me, that's not really being guided by intention. It's more other people's priorities and expectations. So that was really me just getting in control of my energy was a key because the entrepreneurial journey was chaotic for my nervous system. So I needed a practice to just start my day with me in control of my priorities and my mental health. And emotional health have become my top priority because the more I realized that, then I was really proud of how I was showing up and communicating and moving and how I was leading as well for my family and myself.
So what do you do at the end of the day? If gratitude's in the morning when you wake up, what's the end of night?
Yeah, at night, I'm just a lot of this is clearing the mental desktop, right? Because when I shut my eyes, I feel like I see 7 train tracks all going at the same time. And to be able to clear the mental desktop, and sometimes I need to like focus on a mantra like it's safe to let go. It's safe to let go and allow it to be handled tomorrow, right? Like, and so sometimes I'll visualize putting things into a box and closing it so it just clears my mental desktop because half the battle is just getting to like quiet the thoughts in the mind so I can really unwind and finally doze off. And because I know for me, I need 8 hours of sleep to be fully optimized. So I prefer to really get myself winding down as early as I can.
Uh, I'm tracking, although I don't know what that 8:30 means. I mean, I'm that's a different story, but I'm more like the somewhere between 1 to 3 a.m.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
That's so late for me. I don't remember the last time I was up till 1 a.m.
Oh my. So New Year's Eve, like you don't see the ball drop, I guess.
I didn't this past year. I didn't have the desire.
I I I love that. Um, well, you could say I watch it on YouTube, and my new Australian buddies would say I watch Australia like even before.
Yeah, actually, I did watch the Eastern time. I believe it was, earlier, so I was able to see the ball drop in New York, and then I went to sleep.
Perfect, perfect. So when I talk to you about you and your business and how you show up, one of the things I commented on is on your website, and we'll make sure this stuff is in the notes, but on your website, you have a testimonial video.
Mhm.
And before I actually got to meet you, it was like, I can't remember, it was like 2.5, 3, maybe even 4 minutes, but I was captivated. So let me tell you why I was captivated, and then you can tell me more about it. I'm captivated because the quality of credibility is that people trust you, know you, and like you. And what happened in these 4 minutes, I mean, the video editors did a good job, but what happened in these 4 minutes is I got to see a number of your clients. And as they were talking from their heart. And as they were speaking, they were repeating a methodical response that was in their words.
Mhm.
So what I was able to ascertain in 4 minutes of seeing you when you're not in the room is that you have a methodical approach to solving a very personalized, bespoke solution for people, and that you were able to get people to not only understand it, but to live it. Is that normal? Is that like typical of your clients, or were they special clients, or what happened?
Yeah, so I've been doing this for 10 years. I've spoken to thousands of executives, so I've got this down to a simple process. And I say simple, meaning it's 4 steps, but it's complex
Oh,
to
simple
execute
is not
because,
easy. I got you.
yeah, humans are challenging to change their behavior and their mindset, especially when they're in transition and their career or their business. So some of these folks are shutting down their business, needing to go, back and find a new career path, or they've sold their company. And then some of them have been at one company for 20 years and that industry has been disrupted. So it can be chaotic for them to want to not only own their value, but drive that value and command that value. They're just overwhelmed. So what I've found is most people are coming to me for a tactical outcome, right? They want to get paid and they have a certain income goal. but really they're nowhere near really in that identity and mindset to be able to get that. So it's what I found is although they come to me for an outcome and for a tactical solution, they don't realize what they need is a transformation of their mindset and their behavior. So I think most of them are pretty surprised how big of a role and how much value that plays for them in the process and in their life. So that's what's most exciting for me is seeing people raise their consciousness of how they're navigating their career, how they're thinking about their value, how they're empowering themselves to command that value, and getting more alignment with their values so they can actually have a fulfilling career path. And so it's exciting because I do see it continue to work at scale. We're really good at making sure we only invite in clients that are aligned because there's a lot of people that need that help but aren't necessarily aligned to our process. So that front end of who we even invite into our community is highly vetted so that we can keep that success rate high. And I think that's really important to me because we cancel half the calls that book with us. We are selective. We do protect our community and the quality of our client success because for me, that's everything with integrity and purpose and doing everything we can to make sure we leave everybody better than we found them.
There was so much to unpack there. All right, not even sure where to start, but we'll go towards the end. You said you cancel half your calls. Do you actually really cancel the calls, or tell me, what does that mean?
Yes, so I run advertising which creates demand for these breakthrough sessions. They're a 1 hour breakthrough session, and it's a consultation call to really diagnose this person's problems, their background, what their goals are, and just determine if we're a fit and if we can help them. And so they also fill out an intake form in order to get that call. And so my team is assessing those intake forms as they come in, and we have certain criteria that qualify if that person is a fit just based off the form alone. The form's one set of variables, and then how they answer the calls and show up on the call is the next set, right? But that's how we are able to filter and qualify and keep our community. We do the best that we can to protect the quality and alignment and integrity of the community so that everyone in there's ready to do what they need to do to be successful.
Give me an example then of what somebody might say on the form
Mhm.
that would be like non-negotiable, and then what somebody might do in the interview that might be non-negotiable.
Yeah, so first one is, if somebody's in kind of a state where I need it yesterday, like I need to get a job in 2 weeks, or I'm gonna like lose my house or something crazy, right? We're not really in that. That's a different situation. We're helping people to break through in their career and get more alignment. But if they're in a position where they absolutely need to get cash flow, then that's not what this process and program is designed to do. Although we can accelerate people getting results, we can't promise it in like 30 days, right? So that's step one is just aligned expectations. And then there's also a certain level of leader that we're looking for. We do need people that have a track record of success so that they do have marketable skills and that they're in the right room, right? These are typically director and above level professionals. So we just want to have people that know they're in the right space, they feel like they belong, and there's synergy there, right? And so like if somebody's like a nurse or a teacher, although we might be able to help them, it's not really the best fit. So that call would get canceled and we would send alternative resources and point them in the right direction. As far as the phone call, we look for characteristics. There's a lot of folks out there. I hate to see it, but we're seeing more and more of it that at the executive level that don't want to do the work. So they want someone to do it. They want someone to
Sorry.
do
I
but
shouldn't laugh, but yes, I know those types.
it's just they are looking for someone to do it for them for free. And also, that's a mindset we can't support, right? Because we're here to empower people and we're here to help them become the person that can command that value and provide the tools and everything they need to do so. But we cannot do it for them because ultimately they're the ones that need to represent themselves, right? And so that's the other piece. And then it's also track record of success, right? And then it's a mindset. There's a lot of folks that have just lost hope. They're stuck in what, we refer to as a victim mindset. We don't have space for that. We're really here to focus on solutions and those people who are ready to own it. That's really important to the success rate. So that's what we're looking for on the calls, as well as just, their alignment and buy into our process. Because they're not bought into that, then we've lost before we started, and it's not a fit.
So how did you get to that? I mean, how did you must have made a gazillion mistakes, or did you just know?
No, I've taken a lot of phone calls and I've seen a lot, and it's not fun to work with people with misaligned expectations. It's a lot of drama and it's a lot of headache because you're not set up for success out the gate. And so what I found is this just saves so much drama and stress because everyone's on the same page before you get started. Everyone knows their role and what's expected of each so that there's no surprises.
I'm loving this. I want to point out two things that I heard in different language, which I'll share to you, and then I have a follow-up question. Um, the two things I heard, which are great. First, not all customers are customers, or not all prospects are customers, right? So
Yeah.
pick your audience wisely, be selective. And second, and this is something, as much as I've known this my entire life, I'm now focusing on more. Sell them what they want, deliver them what they need.
Yes, I love that.
And I know I knew this. I know I was supposed to do this, and I still kind of like was just told recently. I'm like, yeah, but and my people coming back to me go, yeah, Mitchell, you could be the best of the world of this, but if people don't think they want it,
Mhm.
sell them what they want. And then, of course, um, you have an approach and a practice. I have an approach and a practice that delivers them what they need.
Mhm.
Now, you've done this enough. First, how does it feel when you're successful? And are you successful what percentage of the time?
Yes, it feels amazing because you're making an impact on a life, on a family, on a company. So, I'll be honest, like I'm a creative entrepreneur and doing the same thing for 10 years can sometimes feel limiting. Like I can easily have that part of me that's like, okay, I've been doing this for 10 years. It's easy to get bored with it, right? But what I found is when I realize and I stay connected to the purpose, the bigger purpose, which is something most people don't get, but it's about raising the consciousness of corporate America leaders. And that's what I'm really doing, even though nobody's quite buying that. It is what's happening through the mindset transformation and the practices that I'm having them do, because a lot of this career transition, job search is an emotional roller coaster and it's emotionally draining and disempowering. So being able to help them to prioritize that mental transformation and conviction in their value and removing the self-limiting beliefs and all these pieces of that process through that identity transformation is really what excites me. But again, like you said, nobody came to me to buy an identity transformation. That's just one step of the process, but to me, it's the most powerful part of the process.
And And what you said, and I get it. Now, I raise my hand as a creative entrepreneur. If you do the same thing over and over again, you're really good at it. It's like, okay, now what? Right. So what's the now what for you? Where are you taking your company?
So now that, we've scaled this one offer and, it's firing on all cylinders, it's working at scale. Now I'm expanding what Career Evolved stands for, not just helping people with their career transition, but evolving even what is possible with the career transition, not just job. There's also other avenues, right? Consulting, freelance. There's different channels of income and ways to design your career to align with your values. So the next program is more about the transition from executive to entrepreneur and solidifying the target market message and the plan to generate demand for those clients. And so I've noticed about 20% of the executives coming through this marketing funnel are interested in that, but really honestly are at ground zero of just how to even package their skills and who to target and how to build a pipeline and how to start getting clients, right? So they end up getting distracted by things like website and doing all the things, right? And so I just see all of them doing all the mistakes I made my first year of business that was not profitable. And I just want to help more people streamline that on really ultimately getting clarity on the market and generating revenue so they're officially in business, right? So that's the next phase I'm focused on, is helping more people make that transition.
So why more? I mean, I'm hearing you. You want to. You're creative, but why more? What is that drive in you personally that makes that important to you to do?
I think it's really, for me, it feels like being able to truly represent evolution with all the ways that career can be evolved. I think I find excitement in being on the cutting edge of that and being a thought leader, but also I am an entrepreneur. And I do believe I'm a highly elite one. And as a female who's also highly spiritual, intuitive, and empathic, I think that there's space for someone like me to provide the kind of service and care that I can provide in this space where I think it's needed, because um, it's a rough transition. It's not for everyone, and it's not easy.
So since you're at the beginning of this, what
Mhm.
would be some of your guesses on either your intake form or interview that you would need to say no?
I would be saying no if someone was expecting to get, like, needed to get customers, like, immediately again. The
Just say,
short-sighted
yeah, yeah.
need, I just don't, there's too many variables when you're at ground zero. It's just, how it is, right? It's like I can't take on those kinds of pressure and expectations. It's not realistic. It's certainly possible to get a client in 30 days. It's just a matter of we don't know the audience, we don't know the offer, I don't know how good you are at selling, I don't know a lot of things, right? So there's a lot I don't know, and I can't learn in an hour about a human. So I can only do my best judgment. So for me, I wouldn't feel confident promising that kind of outcome. I would be clear about, we can select your target market, have an offer ready, and have a go to market plan during this period of time. That's what I feel confident delivering. So just making sure that we're aligned on the reasonable expectations, number one. Number two, I would have to see some sort of valuable skills that can be packaged into a service, something there to work with. If it's unclear to both of us and there's not a lot of value there to work with, I would not feel confident taking on that client, right? So things like that, if they've got the commitment level to put the work in, right? Those are the things I'm looking for: time commitment and also alignment with the process and what the outcomes we would be delivering. So I always ask that question. Okay, let's say I invite you in. What are you expecting out of this? Right? I always ask that because I just want to make sure I feel comfortable taking that on.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
And how early are you, or how far along are you in that process?
With this new offer, in the process of launching it and marketing it in about a week.
Can I give you some thoughts then? Would you mind?
Of course, please.
So, uh, one of the uh, one of the things I believe you should be looking for, and I've seen this many times, is when somebody's in a position where they have. I'm thinking of a particular exec that had $1 billion budget, and so the world evolved around a guy who was spending $1 billion. And his expectation when becoming an entrepreneur, which he was going to wait until he left his company to do, was that he would still have the world evolving around him. Um, that would be an example of somebody with the ego is so high because they're not recognizing why they're important today.
You're right. That's a great example because you're so right. I think I see this a lot with C suite executives. A lot of them see themselves above small CEOs, like small entrepreneurs, right? Just because of the status they've and the power of budget they've carried with that organization that's backing them. And I don't know that their ego's ready to humble themselves to kind of be a business of one out the gate, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. The other thing I'd say is probably one of the most important things is the question I asked you. Do you mind if I do a little bit of coaching? Okay, because coachability, being a servant leader, I mean, there are 10 values of credibility. If you, I might encourage you to just to watch that TEDx I have again, because you're looking at those for this particular service. You're looking at those, and there's a couple of those that are just really important.
Hmm.
But anyhow, I love this conversation. So listen, if you're still here and you're still watching and paying attention, I've got two questions. The second one you absolutely need to stick around for. And the first one, Olivia, if people loved listening to you, like I did, and they wanted to reach out to you, what is the best way to go about doing that?
LinkedIn, Olivia Gamber.
Perfect. Thank you. So, given the conversation where we went, is there a question I should have asked, or is there a particular question you'd like to ask yourself now, which I'll be happy to ask you?
Let me think for a second here. I think the question I love to ask is what advice would you give to yourself like 10 years ago, right? If I was just getting started
Ooh.
on this journey, and it's something I think about a lot because you know how heavy being a business owner can be. It can be stressful sometimes, and the pressure we put on ourselves and that our clients sometimes put on us as well as our team members. So I just would remind myself how you feel on the way there is going to be how you feel when you arrive. So prioritize fun. And that's what really drew me into you and your podcast. You kept using the word play and fun. I could just tell that you're really in that space. And so it was so cool to see that.
Hmm. That's interesting. I would say, wow, what a great thing as far as when you're actually working on that transformation. Whether it's a executive to another executive job or executive to an entrepreneur job, integrating fun. Are you saying at the beginning of your process you didn't have enough fun? Is that what I
Absolutely
heard?
not. Nope, it was a grind. It was a grind, and it was running into a brick wall half the time.
Yeah, which we're just not taught that.
No.
Um, Now, but do you, I there's there's an aspect of the younger generation that's come out of the gate expecting fun. Now that's a different.
Yeah, that's a little bit out of balance in that way, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, I really enjoyed this conversation. I so appreciate you sharing and showing up and just being you. So thanks for doing what you're doing, because what you are doing is absolutely needed in the world. And I appreciate you.
Thank you. You too. I so appreciate you having the conversation and just being able to tell my story. So thanks for having space for me.
Oh, of course. I'm honored. Now, for those who are still here, this is your time to spread some cred dust. Pick those ideas, pick those thoughts, the things that resonated with you. Spread Olivia's cred dust by sharing it on the social media platform that's relevant to you, and feel free to tag both of us. Anyhow, thanks again for joining us. I am looking forward to the next Leaders Living Their Values, and take care, everyone. Bye now.
Bye.